Good day to everyone. This is the fourth episode of the Uncensored pitch deck review by InnMind, where we invite the most active and knowledgeable VC analysts and crypto VC investors on the market to give an independent and honest review on startup pitch decks. And today we have an amazing guest and partner, the founder of the crypto VC firm Academy Ventures, Mustafa. Hi, Mustafa, and thanks for joining us.
Hi, I'm excited. I was telling you, I have a lot of notes for this pitch deck, so I'm hoping it can be very beneficial for the founders and kind of like give them a lot of good feedback.
I'm sure it will be a priceless feedback. And actually, it's the first time someone in our episodes checked pitch decks in advance. So I know that how deep you are in the due diligence in startups evaluations, and I know that it would be really valuable. Let me share the screen. The startup TALAXEUM. I hope I pronounce it correct. TALAXEUM Holding. And here we have the deck. So, Mustafa, what do you think about the first slide? Does it explain you what we will talk about? Green Project Launcher Pitch Deck.
Yeah, I think the first comment I'd have for this slide is usually you want your company name to be the biggest thing on the screen. You want to like put yourselves out there. So for this slide, it appears that you have TALAXEUM and Green Project Launcher with around the same size of fonts. So I would say you need TALAXEUM to be the main thing on the screen.
Mm-hmm. So make these bigger, TALAXEUM, and the rest is self-explanatory, or it is okay like this to raise your curiosity?
I think for the links, usually it's good to hyperlink all your socials and your website so that it makes it easier for the investor to, from the pitch deck, click and go look and learn more. So that's one thing. And something that people don't actually think about a lot when giving pitch decks is, especially when you're presenting it, the first and the last slides are surprisingly some of the most important ones because they're the slides you spend the most time on. For the first slide, it's usually right before you start your pitch deck, you have it on there. So you spend a lot of time on it. And at the end, it's usually when you do Q&A and you also have the slide on there. So one thing that I really recommend for startups to do in the beginning and end slides is kind of put like a one-liner that kind of really explains the opportunity with what this company is doing, or even if it's not the opportunity, maybe like with one line, explain how big the problem is. And I think usually it's good and it's very memorable for the investor to kind of have it on there on the first slide.
Next slide. Oh my God. I look at it first time in my life and I already get tired.
No, I agree. I think it's kind of good to have a lot of numbers and explain how big the opportunity or the problem is. But I'd say like you want to organize it in a way that's easy to follow along with. Also, grammar is really important. I think whenever you have a pitch deck, you want to make sure that you have no grammar mistakes. And I see like a bunch of them on here. So always make sure that the language is like almost perfect for the investors. So when you say every hour, 9 billion emails are sent, requiring 13.8 tons of coal to be burnt, resulting in 36 tons of CO2 to be released. So we need to plant 180,000 trees. I think it's kind of good to put arrows going from one to the other to kind of make it easier for people to follow along and understand the logic behind the visual. So that's one comment I'd give here.
Fully agree. And maybe overall, I don't have problems with white and green. Maybe it's not the problem of color, but the problem of structuring information here. It's very hard for me to follow the general idea and story that you want to present. So maybe arrows and maybe, I don't know, put it in some blocks, in some whatever bubbles.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think, so when you talk about the global risk, you're using a footnote for that number. So usually what I'd recommend for all startups is whenever you're using numbers from the internet or from a study or from an outside source, always make sure that you have footnotes for every number. So here you have it for one of them, but not for the other two. So just make sure that, you know, you can always have footnotes for where you got the information from.
And hyperlink also the reports that you refer to, right?
Yes. And then I actually have a general comment here. So I think this is, for me, you're kind of painting the picture that, you know, the environment is at risk and there's all these concerns. And I think usually that's a very big and it's a large problem, right? So I think this slide, to me, it strikes me as kind of like an attention grabber slide, you know, to kind of put the investor into the setting of, or the context of why this project was built. But I don't necessarily think that this is the problem that the company is trying to solve, because it seems like a very vague and large problem right now, based on what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any problems with the standard typization or titling of the slides? I mean, here they describe the problem and they title the slide as TALAXEUM background project. Isn't it easier for you as an investor to follow the general titling, like problem, solution, market, etc.?
Yeah, so like usually investors are looking at so many pitch decks, like a lot of pitch decks. So you want to make it as easy to follow along as possible, because a lot of the times they're going to go through pitch decks really quick. So you want to make sure that all the key words are in there on the slide. So usually you should try to stick to the format and not kind of like stray away from the general format, is my opinion and my advice for the founders.
Okay, third slide, introducing TALAXEUM. So probably there was problem and now it's a solution.
I think grammar, first of all, I see some grammar mistakes, so definitely double check that as well. Other than that, I'm looking at the solution, the green project launcher, and based on what the solution is, I'm kind of getting the sense that they're making a platform that kind of helps green businesses expand and grow. And when you say that's your solution, to me, it makes it seem that the problem is not necessarily that the environment is struggling, but the problem is more that there's a lot of green businesses who don't have access to resources and to expand. So based on your solution, that's what I'm kind of deducing is the problem. So maybe for the problem side, kind of highlight that that's the actual problem you're solving, and not kind of, this like large, vague problem that's really difficult to solve.
So here we have the lack of correlation between problem and solution, correct?
Yeah, and I also think that there's two solutions on here, the green project launcher and the incubator, and they seem kind of interrelated. But usually you want to kind of show investors that you're very focused. You have a very focused solution. So usually you want to show like one solution on like a slide and just focus all your efforts on that one solution. And then if you have different features or additional things to your product, I'd say put it on a different slide. But for your solution slide, keep it very focused, straight to the point, and make sure that there's like one very clear solution on there.
And also maybe there could be some reduction of the text on the slide. I mean, instead of description, maybe just building it in bullet points or something like that.
Yeah, and it also makes it, like you said, and it makes it easier for investors to kind of go through the slides quicker when you have bullet points instead of a lot of paragraphs.
And by the way, guys, before we comment this slide, Mustafa already twice elaborated about the mistakes and typos. So it's completely understandable, nothing to hesitate about, because Web3 is global, and for many of you, English is not the native mother language. Same for me, I do mistakes regularly, but when you approach investors, when you do your landing pages, when you build your pitch decks, it's like must have to make it checked and double checked. So if you are not sure, use Grammarly or send to your native English speaking colleagues or find other solutions to receive such a feedback before sending it to actual crypto VC investor. Okay, so we continue here, solution slides. And they kind of combine here problems and solutions again.
Yeah, usually you don't want to put the problems and solutions on the same slide. You want to kind of, I think the approach that I would do is you want to kind of really paint how big the problem is, because in many cases, especially in early stage startups, the problem is way more important than the solution, right? So you want to focus and make the problem as serious as you can and as large as you can, and then present your solution on a different slide. So I definitely separate them. Some of these, I don't think they're problems. Like centralized project. Like I know in Web3, a lot of people don't like centralization, but centralization isn't inherently good or bad. It's when people use it in good ways or use it in bad ways. So I wouldn't call it a problem. So maybe kind of, double check some of the things listed on here.
And also the death of NFT, according to Gartner's hype cycle. So I don't even know what to say, guys. It's not a business problem that you're solving, I guess.
I'm looking at some of these. Honestly, the more I look at this slide, the more I think that some of these, they're not problems. You're kind of listing features of what your solution is on the right, and then you're working backwards. You're like, okay, what does this feature solve? So in some ways, I don't think this is a solution slide. I think to me, it looks more of like you're explaining features of your solution, of your product. You're talking about filtering through the projects, making sure they're legitimate, having your proof of stake approach. So all of these things are features of what you're actually building. I don't think this necessarily is your product or your solution in some ways.
For sure. And this slide is definitely not convincing. It creates the opposite effect. It kind of raises concerns on your understanding of the problems and business aspects. Okay, so it's jumping. It was problem, then solution, then problem and solution combined in weird mix. And now we speak about special features. So product probably, yeah?
Based on this slide, I would delete the entire previous slide, because here there you were talking about the features, and here you're also talking about it, but this looks a little more detailed. So I would delete the last slide and keep this one. There's things you need to change in this one, but yeah, that's my first observation. Yeah, I mean, the text is really small. I'd say you want to kind of make it larger so that investors can read it easier. When I'm looking at this, I'm going from left to right? But everything is very cramped up. So if you spread the graphic a little bit and then you spread all the text as well, it makes it easier to go from left to right. Because right now, I don't know if I'm going like this or, but if you spread it out, it makes it easier to kind of understand how to read it.
And I don't know how about you, Mustafa, but I still feel a little bit confused because we are on the 5th slide and I still did not have one short, laconic and clear explanation what guys are building. I mean, I understand that they're building some green project launcher and how do they call it? Green project incubator. But we know that incubator is kind of not a venture model, right? By itself. And launcher, it can be something like LAUNCHPAD. But I'm kind of missing this one sentence, very simple explanation, what the product will look like, the big vision.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot of things going on. You want to kind of prioritize, be concise and explain your solution, as in a very clear way what it is before you start talking about the features. And right now we haven't gotten a clear, concise explanation of what the solution is, which is why it's a little confusing. Yeah, and for example, in the ecosystem reward distribution, this bottom graphic, there's kind of like an NFT marketplace kind of thing, and then 70% of the rewards go to project holders. I don't know what the difference is between project NFT holders and whole NFT holders is yet. So that's something that's confusing me.
And also another thing, speaking about Green Project Launcher, again, it explains how it will work, but it does not explain what it will do, what value it will bring. I mean, for every NFT purchased, it will be hardwired with Green Project, smart contract, whatever else, yeah? But Green Project, it's such a wide scope. I mean, it could be planting trees, it could be something clean tech, deep tech, or whatever. What will be the focus of this platform? Should it be just about digital solutions or also with some hardware? I'm still a bit confused, but do you have any other comments on this slide, or we can go further?
No, I agree with your comments.
To be honest, I do not understand this slide. For me, it's hard to understand. First, type of green project: commercial green project, non-commercial, and incubated. Okay, so incubated is something third. It's not commercial and not non-commercial. And commercial and non-commercial, meaning paying money to TALAXEUM ecosystem, or meaning earning money or charity organization or something like that. Also, green project activities, well, it is probably sub-sectors or sub-verticals of the green projects that can apply to be launched on this green project launcher TALAXEUM platform. And then community ecosystem, so crypto community, business community, green community, and art community. Oh, it's too much.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of Yeah, no, I agree with everything. I'm just trying to think how, as an investor, how much do I really care about knowing all these different details? I don't know, a lot of it is very detailed, Let's see what the next slide is. This is kind of explain, if you go back to the last slide, the recipe is explaining what the community ecosystem is. So I would either delete community ecosystem here or delete the next slide. Maybe this one's more in depth.
But this slide is titled Special Receipt, and I'm trying to understand what is this special receipt in comparison with previous slide? So do they mean the receipt is combining together these 4 different communities, crypto, business, art, and green?
This to me just seems to be explaining how different parts, different people would interact on the TALAXEUM platform. And so you have the artists, the businesses, I think in general, it's also the graphic. There's a lot of arrows, a lot of like, it's hard to keep track of everything. I think maybe there's value to explaining how these different communities interact on the platform. But if you're going to do it, you want to explain it in visuals that are more easy to understand. Because right now it's too complicated. It's too confusing. And I'd also focus on the most important ways in which these communities interact. So based on looking at this, there's some interactions that are less important than other ones. So I would focus on the most important ones if you're going to talk about how people interact on the platform.
Business model.
So here you're explaining how you're making your revenues, your money. I would, first of all the numbers, you want to make them very clear and large. You want to always emphasize the numbers, the figures, all that stuff, make it very easy to read, especially when you're talking about your business model or the ways in which you want to make money.
And business model itself, is it clear?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I don't fully understand the incubator paragraph. How I don't understand how this is. I don't understand the paragraph, I'd say.
It looks even suspicious. I mean, release project as green project incubator with minimum value 200% from the seed funding.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, honestly.
It should be revised completely, and maybe not only design-wise and messaging-wise, but also maybe rethinking of the business model. Next.
Yeah. Next.
Oh,
I had a lot of notes on this one.
Okay, you go first.
First of all, it seems like the structure of I'm thinking about the structure of the presentation in general. So you had problem, solution, features of the solution, then you kind of went more into the ecosystem, business model, and then now you're going back to the solution and how the solution or features work by talking about the blocks and the shards. So I think this slide would have to, first of all, be way back earlier in the presentation.
But is this slide necessary here? I mean, I'm reading it now, first time, and I kind of don't feel that it adds, for me, a lot of value in understanding the potential of the project.
Yeah, it's very specific. It's very detailed. You're going way into the specifics. Yeah, I don't see the need for this slide so far.
It can go for appendix, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so we recommend to remove this slide or move it to appendix, and definitely not keeping it in the main pitch for investors. Next, green NFT representation, blocks and shards. So they continue explaining deeper blocks and shards.
This slide is only talking about shards, not blocks. So if you're going to have slides about blocks and shards that you want to include in the appendix, have one slide for blocks, one slide for shards, or combine 2 slides into one with both, but don't have kind of blocks and shards and then shards, like be consistent. Either talk about both on one slide or talk about one on each slide, I'd say.
So competitive advantages slide. First of all, good that they have it, because some projects miss it, and it's a disaster then when they don't even include competitive analysis.
I don't understand what connected to real business means. It's like I don't understand what this means. Yeah. Also, when you're doing the competitor analysis, you kind of want to highlight that this is TALAXEUM and these are the competitors. So right now you're using the same colors for all the different competitors. So I'd say keep TALAXEUM green and then make them all gray, the ticks and the dashes. Show the difference, make it clear which is which.
Indeed. For example, again, they differentiate in green project launcher, green project incubator, but if I understand correctly, these are just the terms in TALAXEUM. So they're not self-explanatory, yeah? And then green NFT, we still don't know what does it mean, green NFT. They didn't explain it to us. So this slide should be redefined. But I'm starting thinking that maybe the problem here goes above the pitch deck, and maybe TALAXEUM needs some good advisor to talk with and to think how to structure properly their business and product.
I think these are all things that you need to have figured out before you do the pitch deck. Because based on the pitch deck, it seems like the model they're building seems like confusing, and that's not good. It's one thing for the pitch deck to have mistakes. It's another thing for the investor to feel like the business model is wobbly based on the pitch deck. So yeah, definitely that's important.
The 12th slide is about workflow. What do you think of this?
My notes say delete this whole slide.
Delete.
Yeah, because I think this goes way too in depth into how the solution, the product works. We've already they've already said enough about the product, like, or said enough, but not in a clear way. But we've already been told a lot of information about the product. This is more, it seems like more information about how it works, and it's in a very confusing way. Like, usually if you're gonna have a workflow, it should be like circle or straight, just very simple. But when you have all these different directions that it's going, it's hard for the investor to keep track of what's going on.
Completely agree with you here. I wanted to say the same. Use cases.
I think the rewards in the DAO has already been talked about. So this is just the same information, repeated in a different way. So if you want to delete this, staking in the currency, it seems like these are new things that hasn't been talked about before. But I go back to my previous point. You're still talking about the product and how it works, and it has to be way, way earlier in the presentation, I'd say. Just keep the staking and the currency stuff, but move them, find a way to incorporate them maybe into an earlier slide.
And how you will call this slide actually? Because on one side, it seems that they try to explain the token, TALAX token utility. On another side, it somehow seems that they also want to highlight some value proposition. So it's more token utility slide for you, or what?
Yeah, maybe move these to we're going to eventually get to the tokenomics and the token. So yeah, maybe you could move these to one of those slides, yeah.
And by the way, if it is token utility slide, then currency, well, it's also wrong wording. And guys, there are so many pitch decks available in the internet and pitching sessions. Open them, please, and learn from other founders pitching to VCs. How do they deliver information? It's a shame not to use available information to self-educate and get better prepared. TALAX token future market value. First
of all, the numbers, the 4 trillion a year, the 847 footnotes. You need footnotes on there. Footnotes with hyperlinks, because I know some investors would like to always double check these numbers. I've seen cases where founders have put wonky numbers on there. So you always want to show them that, like, you know what you're doing, you've done your research, and you can back it up with your sources. What does 847 million per year mean in this case? Like, what is this number? Is this how big the NFT sector is in terms of what, like, it's not clear to me.
Yeah, I had a perception that this number is more about market opportunity. So, which was already explained, I guess, in the problem slide partially. But I agree with you. It's just my perception. Maybe I'm wrong and it means something else.
Yeah, I don't think they should be on this slide. When you're talking about the TALAX token, these numbers have nothing to do with the actual token, in my opinion. So you don't want them on the slide where you're talking about your token. And also 4 trillion, real business sector. Well, I think the value of real business sector is a little bit bigger than 4 trillion per year. So yeah, very confusing. And this beautiful design in the middle is just, it sounds like a joke, because you have here potential TALAXEUM market cap, but you do not have the number of this market cap. I think it's coming on the next slide. This is kind of like a warm, or like an introduction to the Okay, let's check on the next. But wait, one more thing. Go back. I can't read the title. Like, from where I'm sitting, I cannot, and I have my glasses on. It's not my vision. I can't read the titles of the visuals. It's too small. Well, I also need to stress my eyes a bit to understand what is written here. However, I have a big screen, so fully agree. Yep.
And don't forget that many investors, they check your deck just on their phones, and it will be impossible to check anything on the phone. Okay, tokenomics.
I think the vesting period, the numbers have to be bigger. Like I said, you always want the numbers to be very big. So everything, all the numbers in the table can be bigger, but especially the vesting period numbers on those rows.
And any comments about numbers overall? I mean, when you see these numbers like initial market cap 900K, fully diluted 25 mil, and then time to full dilution never, does it drive your excitement?
I think it's on a project by project basis. It depends. One thing I did, I checked in my notes, and the percentages don't add up to more than 100%. It's a very little detail, but it adds up to 100 and 100.1%. You want to make sure that your pitch deck is bulletproof, like everything is 100% correct. That's a small detail change.
And also what I'm missing here, because when I look at tokenomics slide, I prefer when everything is in one slide. I mean, what's the sense for me to look at percentage and vesting period if I have no clue about the token price, about how it differs from the round to the round, and so on, and overall raise as well, because we have here, initial market cap and fully diluted, but we have no clue how much they are raising for private sale, for seed sale, and so on.
No, it's going to come on the next slides, but I agree. You want everything on one slide. Oh, wait, also on this slide, what's it called? So you have the three columns. You have vesting percentage and tokenomics. I don't think tokenomics, like this is not tokenomics. This is tokenomics is the whole thing, you know, but in the table, you want to change this title to something else because you're talking about the community, the private team, all that stuff. So change that wording.
True. Okay, but look, we still don't have token price on the next slide. Token circulation.
I think one small comment on this one, just make the graph bigger. You have a lot of space on the slide, so it doesn't hurt to just make it bigger because the numbers are again a little small on the graph.
Token sales stage. Yep.
Yeah, make sure that it's all on one. Like it makes it easier when you have all those numbers on one slide.
Any other comments here?
Yeah, so fully booked. I'm assuming the raise already happened.
I hope so. Maybe it's just booked, but not paid.
Yeah, if this refers to that you've already like filled up this round, put the date on there. I'd say, mention when it happened.
Anything else, or it's fine to go further?
You want to put them all on once, like so. This slide and not the one before it, the one before that. Make sure. I think you can kind of consolidate them into one slide. You're gonna probably have to change the rows, the columns, because, yeah. But I think if you can find a way to make it on one slide, that would be better.
100% agree. Oh, again about tokens. Token sales, use of funds.
I have a small comment here that I put. When you're putting the percentages, so the in hard cap percentage, put them from biggest to lowest. Because right now it's kind of like, you have 2%, then 11, then 7, just organized.
It makes a lot of sense. And I was thinking actually to put it just in pie chart, as it is more typical to see the funds distribution in a pie chart, and maybe not necessary to make it that detailed. Yeah.
You're going by dollars. It's like, for example, the NFT center building, you're saying $263,000 and $227. It's probably unlikely that, like estimates, it's fine. It's normal to give estimates. It's you don't have to plan for every single dollar and where it's going to go.
Yep. And if I understand correctly, this right part refers to various probabilities of fundraising, right? If they raise only soft cap, then they will deliver only the first part of the left table. Let's go further, but I think it's a bit confusing and overpriced. But it should be more due deal put on this. Use of funds
So this is the same information. So you keep you pick one of the slides and keep it. You don't need both of them.
Absolutely. Revenue streams.
This is basically the business model again.
And I think all of these was already explained in some slide.
Business model. Yeah, it's the exact same information.
Wait. Let me find it.
No, you passed it. Next, this one.
Here, yeah. So this slide, business model, and this slide, revenue streams. There is no difference. It's just a little bit more detailed. So, for example, rewards, they explain how the rewards differ.
This looks like it's more detailed. Still a bit confusing. I still don't understand the incubator pair.
It seems that, yeah, the guys tried to explain different possibilities, how they can earn money, but still, probably the huge part of the information is somehow left in their head and not explained here. I mean, this slide is definitely more detailed, but for example, you speak green NFT. We still do not know what is green NFT, right? On 20 slides, they didn't explain it to us. And then they say primary selling, secondary selling, 5%. What does it mean, secondary selling? Would it be some royalty and plus secondary market opportunities for green NFTs? Platform fee, DeFi transaction, art center building, ticket sales, yeah. It's everything a bit messed. And here I have a feeling that they do not know which of these could bring the most revenue or could be most demanded part. So they try to put everything in one and just experiment, which can be fair, but still confusing for me. I don't see the business because I don't see the product. I do not understand how it will look like. And that's my core problem.
No, I agree. I think for the NFT, the primary selling could refer to minting. I'm guessing secondaries on the secondary market. Green NFT needs to be explained because you talk about it a lot. It's a core part of what you're building, but I don't think enough was done to explain it. So maybe like one piece of advice would be to focus a lot on explaining what that is. I would take a step and not rethink the slide, rethink the actual model and kind of think about your actual business model would be my recommendation.
True. Go-to-market plan plus accomplishment. So probably traction, yeah, combined with traction.
Yeah, I have a lot of notes here.
Go
on. So first of all, first general note is, again, a lot of small text, hard to read. Not everything on this slide is very like major, a lot of like minor accomplishments as well. Like promotion with a community partner and step 3 and step 4. Like it's not there's other things that are more major. So prioritize the most important things because right now it's very wordy on the slide. Focus on the biggest things, I'd say.
It's a bit messed up here. Previously, the team duplicated slides and put different unnecessary slides. And for example, split it tokenomics in 4 different slides instead of 1 or 2. But here, they combined all in one. Here we have roadmap, here we have go-to-market, and here we have kind of traction and achievements. And it's impossible to clarify it because when I see go-to-market plan title of the slide, and then I read that they are building the concept of the green NFT and reward mechanism, it makes me frustrated because it means that probably the team does not understand what is go-to-market plan.
I think what it could be is they had the old slide, which was the go-to-market plan, and then maybe as they accomplished more, they just maybe like went back and just were like, okay, now it's become an accomplishment. We got here, so it's. I don't know. That's what it looks like to me.
Do you want to say anything else on this slide, or we can go further?
I have notes for each step. For step 3, we see that you have new advisors. If you're going to put their names, again, put their hyperlink so that investor can access and look at who these people are. And then, let's see, step 4, we have building a larger community and VC involvement. So you want to mention the names of the VC, like be specific. And then if the community grew, say how much it grew by, like the numbers, like make it specific. You don't want to be generic with what you're saying. Specifically say, what happened. This is an important one. So at step 5, we see that it says potential launchpad partner, and then a bunch of different logos. So for an investor, like you don't want to mislead them by putting logos on the screen unless they're actual partners, because it could be misleading because especially when the investor is going fast, you don't want to kind of like take advantage and sneak logos of potential partners. Only put partners if you've actually confirmed.
Oh, yes. It's very, very important. Don't underestimate this. Great advice. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another thing. Step 6, let's see. So step 6 has dates, but none of the other steps have dates. So be consistent. You know, if you're going to use dates here, use it for other places as well. And I think dates are good in general, like, but maybe you can go by quarters, like Q1, Q2, etc.
Okay, and if we go to the details, a few comments from my side. First of all, in step 4, groundbreaking NFT art center building. Please avoid these buzzwords. Pitch deck is about meat and not about marketing spice. Collaboration with QL, either it's multiply QL's marketing, influence marketing, or if it is one important QL, key opinion leader, then they should name him or her for sure.
No, I agree.
Yep.
Also, one comment I just remembered. So for step 6, this says March 15, 2023, which means this already happened, I presume.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go to the decentralized exchange, centralized exchange listing, and it says planning, which kind of makes it seem like, I don't know if it's listed on there, is it not listed on there? So I think this goes back to you don't want to mislead investors. So if it's confirmed, put it on there. If it's not, don't. Double check the dates and double check the logos of actual partners, not potential partners or planned partners.
Great point. Roadmap. Yeah, look, here they have tax listing planning at Q1 2023. Did it happen already?
The dates are confusing. You mean, yeah. Also, what does planning mean? Does this mean that you're doing it or you're planning it? Like,
planning
you
means
say that you're planning it. I don't think it's you don't have to say that you're planning something. Say it if it happened.
they exactly write what they mean. Tax listing planning, because half a year later they are planning IDO. And obviously tax can't be before public sale. So yeah, TG event is in Q3 and tax planning. Come on, guys. Then you could make roadmap on 100 pages. Yeah, mentioning everything that you plan to plan.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the text it's too small.
Mm-hmm.
Slide there's so much empty white space, and then the text is also small. You know, like you want to show that. Yeah.
And it's 4 years in one slide with such a small text and minimum information. I mean, you should not write something like reviewed by professional consultant as a part of the roadmap milestone. And I still do not know. Staking platform development was in 22. And private sale, development planning and design, tax listing planning in 22 as well. Fiat crypto exchanger. So it's all messed up. It's not good roadmap slide at all. It's better to delete it than to keep it like this. Oh my God. Now even I can hardly read what is written here.
Yeah. I read this once. So for the team slide, if you're going to write a bio, make sure that it's 70 words or less.
70?
70 or less. But for me, I like it even shorter, honestly. I don't even like paragraphs for team slide. I think people can put bullet points of like the main things, you know, like the important things, like previous experience, like list the company that you worked at, for example, if it was a really good company. If you have like important numbers or data to mention, make sure the numbers are on there. I don't think you should write like a paragraph, maybe. Yeah, I'm a bigger fan of like putting bullet points for this.
And of course, don't forget to link LinkedIn profiles, correct?
Yeah, hyperlink. Always put hyperlink.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a detailed note that I took. So it says that the CTO is a CEO at another company. If he's a co-founder, that's usually not a good sign if he's also working at another company. But if he's not a co-founder, that.
Look, it's written even here. David will lend his expertise as Chief Information and Technology at TALAXEUM. His team will ensure the quality of TALAXEUM platform it sounds for me, it's just a guess again, that it's kind of outsourcing or CTO in residence role.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Tell me, from investor perspective, Mustafa, CTO in residence or outsourcing development, is it a red flag or not?
Like developers are probably one of the biggest parts of a company, a project. Usually you want in-house developers, you want people to be committed full time. And it's hard to find people who'll do that. So that's obviously a challenge. But from an investor point of view, you want first of all the founders to be fully committed, especially the technology founders. That's a big one, I'd say.
Well, since we touched this point, let me make a small advertisement. So since Academy Ventures, the VC firm led by Mustafa, is partnering with student communities all over US and soon will go worldwide, they have access to specific blockchain and Web3 clubs among student communities of the best universities in US. And they help great Web3 startups to hire or to find interns among talented students, not only product development, business development, marketing teams, a lot of great IT skills and talents. You can find your potential co-founder probably also in this community. So if you are interested to explore student talents for your Web3 startup, we will put the link to the Google form in the description. Fill in this form, and then Academy Ventures will review your application and hopefully connect you with great students from their communities. This is the main added value that Academy Ventures adds to their portfolio companies and to the industry overall, in addition to investments. So this was...
Thank you. That was nice.
Coming back to the topic. Okay, it's advisory team. I think same comments here, right? No hyperlinks and very bold, boring text.
Same comments.
Backers.
Oh, yeah. This was a big comment. So read the paragraph under IT partner. I think this is a pasting mistake because I don't see what the process of reusing has to do with your IT partner. So I think double check that for sure. Yeah, and then other than that, I think for the community partner, you say 200,000 plus members. That's a very good number. It's a big number. So highlight that, make it, let people know, like make it clear to investors. It's
Maybe I can add a short comment from my side. And I want all founders that will be watching this video to keep this in mind. This is unfortunately quite a typical and regularly used practice nowadays in crypto. When you do not have enough investors on cap table, you make a slide called backers and partners, messing up everything and kind of trying to present that you have a lot of backers. This is not a good practice. In this slide, the guys at least separated backers, strategic partner, and auditor. This is good, but still backers, so BTS Ventures and Godbit. Godbit is a market maker and accelerator. So did they really invest? Because if Godbit is a partner, maybe move it to strategic partner. Don't try to pretend in the slide with backers that you have more investors than you really have. So this is my comment here.
Yeah, that's a great comment.
And for me, this slide is unclear because, okay, LAUNCHPAD, community, and Zelwyn, is it what they signed already? Or again, just plan? Same as you mentioned previously, be careful with name dropping and logo mentioning. It sounds like a plan, yeah? List on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. Or is it listed on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap? And then it should be the link.
This is where grammar is important, because is this happened or is it going to happen, so double check that.
True. Media release. Okay, probably they tried to present the traction, marketing traction here. Does it add value for you as an investor?
It's fine, yeah. You can include this slide. I don't see a problem with it.
Okay, and legal disclaimer.
See, this goes back to what I was saying in the beginning. So this is the last slide. So if you're presenting your pitch deck and you're done, and then you have a 20-minute Q&A, and then the investor's just looking at legal disclaimer, that's they might forget what you did, like put your message on there, put a one line that highlights either how big this opportunity is, what you're doing, or how big the problem is that you're solving. Like make a mark and keep it memorable,
True. We are done with this pitch deck. And Mustafa, before we finish for today, I have a couple of questions to you. First of all, what is your overall feedback? So as an investor who received a pitch deck from this startup in your mailbox or Telegram chat, and in addition to all the comments, very constructive comments you gave about pitch deck structure, content, etc. What is your overall impression? Does it convince you? Does it capture your interest and curiosity to contact founders and follow up with them or not?
So for me, I like that it was green focused. So I'm definitely biased there. That's why I also wanted to do the review session on this specific pitch deck, because it's a topic that I'm interested in. But I think because of how a lot of the stuff was confusing, it was worded in a confusing way. I didn't understand the product fully. There was a lot of, especially the grammar mistakes. It just doesn't strike me as if you're an investor and you're getting a pitch deck and there's grammar mistakes that, a high school student shouldn't be making, like that's not a good sign from an investor point of view. Like it's not encouraging. So it's a very easy fix, but it's such an important fix. You want to make sure there's no mistakes like that. Yeah, I don't know. And especially when there's misleading logos or you get anything, you want to make sure that you're not being shady in any way. Because I'll tell you one thing from an investor point of view, as soon as you get a hint that something is shady, most investors will walk away. No matter how amazing the rest of the pitch deck is, you want to make sure that you're showing that you're honest, and that's one of the most important things. So definitely double check the logos. That's a big one. Yeah, I mean, I think those are really important points. I think another important point is product market fit. I don't think enough was talked about how big this market is. Like, tell me more about all these green projects and why they're struggling to expand, to grow. Like, give me numbers, give me data, and show me how big this market is. And then tell me more about your customers. If you already have customers, tell me who they are, exactly why they're using your product, why they keep using your product. Because at the end of the day, product market fit is probably one of the most important parts of choosing whether to invest in a company or not. And you want to make sure that you have it spot on and you highlight it in the presentation.
And can you please elaborate very clearly? You mentioned all these, details that also are the part of the overall impression of the project. But there is also a story and visibility of what these guys are building. Do you have the clear understanding what they are building?
No, I don't. I kind of have an idea, like you have the NFT marketplace, you have your incubating. I have a sense of kind of what's going on, but at the end of reading a pitch deck, I need to, as an investor, be like, okay, I know exactly what they're building. And a lot of the time it helps when the founder's there to present the pitch deck, but especially in the Web3 industry where it's very remote, and a lot of times your pitch deck is getting passed around to investors without you actually being there to present it. You want your pitch deck to be able to speak for itself. Mm-hmm. So that's a very big comment. Make sure that your pitch deck can speak for itself and everything is clear upon reading it once. Even if you're skimming it once, you want to make sure that the investor can get a clear sense of what you're building.
And the last question, from investor perspective, what is better for you? What is more attractive? To receive a really, really short pitch deck that does not have enough information, but maybe just a few slides, super clear, super attractive slides, not answering all your questions, but creating this FOMO or curiosity, or this longer 30 plus slides pitch deck with a lot of extra, not really necessary slides. What is better if we choose between two?
I think concise is always better. Like for me, I apply this everywhere. If you can keep it short and simple, that's always better. So for the pitch deck, try to do that. And then one piece of advice I always give founders is keep the pitch deck short. You don't have to include all the details, but then if the investor wants to know more, make sure you have a second document that kind of is like a long document that explains a lot of the details, like specific parts of the project, kind of like a memo that has all the necessary information that they can read more. Like if they're interested in the project, they can read more about it. But if I'm receiving a pitch deck for the first time, I kind of want to make it concise and let me be curious to want to know more and, you know, grab my attention, I'd say.
Perfect. Mustafa, thank you so much for your wisdom and expertise today. And we wish to see you more in our pitching sessions and interviews. And we wish to see Academy Ventures thriving in the next bull run and overcoming so-called top-tier market players. I will not name their names, but I'm sure you can do it.
Yeah. Thank you. I enjoyed it.